Poor Filipino boy sings Hotel California, judges in tears. The stage lights were dazzling, flooding every corner of the massive auditorium in Manila. For most contestants, those lights meant opportunity, glory, and dreams within reach. But for 12-year-old Miguel Santos, those lights felt almost blinding, exposing every crack in the armor of courage he had carefully stitched together. He stood there barefoot, his thin frame drowning inside a hand-me-down shirt 2 sizes too big. His jeans were faded, frayed at the ends, and the microphone in his small hand shook as though it carried the weight of the world. In many ways, it did. The crowd stirred. Some in the audience whispered, "Who is this boy? Why is he barefoot? He looks like he doesn't belong here." But Miguel had long ago grown accustomed to whispers. For as long as he could remember, he had been just another street kid, invisible to most, noticed only when he sang on street corners or inside jeepneys for a few coins. His voice was his only possession, his only hope. And tonight, he had brought it to this stage. A boy with a burden. Miguel's life had never been easy. His father had left when he was just 6 years old, disappearing into the city with promises that turned into silence. His mother, Maria, became both father and mother, working day and night to feed him and his little sister Rosa. She scrubbed floors, carried laundry loads twice her size, and sold vegetables under the burning sun. But Maria had fallen gravely ill only a month ago. The doctors spoke of expensive treatments, words that felt like mountains Miguel could never climb. He tried harder than ever to earn more coins through singing, sometimes performing until his voice cracked and his throat burned. But it was never enough. Then one day, he overheard 2 men talking about a televised talent show in Manila. The grand prize, one said, could change a person's whole life. That night, Miguel whispered a prayer beside his sleeping mother, "Lord, give me a chance. Let my voice save her." The next morning, with nothing but determination, he walked miles to the audition hall. The song that carried memories. On stage, one of the judges leaned forward, curiosity softening her stern expression. "What will you sing for us today, Miguel?" His voice quivered. "Hotel California, by the Eagles." A ripple of surprise moved through the room. It was not a typical choice for a child. But for Miguel, the song carried pieces of his past. His father had loved that song, strumming it on an old battered guitar during the rare nights he was home. Though his father was gone, the song remained, a reminder of family, of love, of something fragile but beautiful. The guitar intro began. Miguel closed his eyes, took a shaky breath, and began to sing. At first, his voice was soft, almost fragile, like a candle struggling against the wind. But as the lyrics unfolded, something shifted. His voice deepened, strengthened, carrying raw emotion that pierced through the auditorium. It wasn't polished or perfect, but it was real. Every note held the weight of hunger, of nights spent sleeping under a leaky roof, of a child's desperate love for his sick mother. Tears in the hall. By the time Miguel reached the chorus, the atmosphere in the room had transformed. The audience that once doubted him now sat in stunned silence. His small body seemed to vanish, all that remained was his voice, a voice soaked in pain and hope. And then it happened. As he sang the haunting line, "You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave." His eyes opened, glistening with tears. His voice cracked, but instead of faltering, it grew stronger, pouring out like a flood. One judge, known across the country for being harsh and unyielding, pressed her hand against her mouth, tears slipping past her defenses. Another judge removed his glasses, blinking rapidly, unable to hide his emotions. Even in the audience, strangers wiped their cheeks, caught in the unexpected wave of feeling. When the final note echoed into silence, no one moved. For a moment, it felt as if the entire hall was holding its breath. And then, an eruption. The audience leapt to their feet, clapping, cheering, crying. The standing ovation was so loud that it shook Miguel to his very core. But he didn't smile. He didn't bow. Instead, he gripped the microphone tighter and whispered, his voice trembling, "This song. I sang it for my mother. She's very sick. I just want her to get better. The hall fell silent again, but this time, it was not out of doubt, it was out of respect. Out of awe. A voice that crossed oceans. The judges, unable to contain themselves, rushed to the stage. One of them wrapped Miguel in her arms and whispered, "Tonight, you reminded us why music matters. Not to impress, not to entertain, but to touch hearts." Backstage, even the show's producers were wiping their eyes. The performance wasn't just another audition. It was a revelation. That night, the clip of Miguel singing Hotel California was uploaded online. Within hours, it spread like wildfire. By dawn, millions had watched the barefoot boy with the trembling voice. His story touched hearts across the globe, especially in the United States, where the song was iconic. Comments poured in. "This boy sings with more soul than most professional singers. I don't understand a word of his life, but I feel every ounce of his pain. Someone help this child. He deserves a chance." The kindness of strangers. What happened next was something Miguel could never have dreamed of. A group of doctors in the US who saw the viral video reached out through the show's producers. They offered to sponsor his mother's treatment completely free of charge. An education foundation promised scholarships for both Miguel and Rosa. And an anonymous donor sent money to give the family a safe, comfortable home. In a matter of days, Miguel's desperate prayer had been answered, through the kindness of strangers who had never met him but felt his heart in every note. The final stage. When Miguel returned for the finals of the show weeks later, he was no longer trembling. His clothes were still simple, but his eyes shone with a new light. The boy who once carried the weight of despair now carried hope. The judges smiled at him warmly. The audience, already knowing his story, erupted in cheers even before he sang a single note. This time, Miguel sang not with desperation but with gratitude. His voice soared, strong and clear, as though lifted by the love of thousands. When he finished, the entire hall rose again, but Miguel's gaze went to just one face in the crowd, his mother, sitting in a wheelchair, tears streaming down her cheeks, alive and healing. More than a song. Miguel didn't win the competition that night. But he won something far greater. He won a future for his family. He won the love of millions who believed in him. And he reminded the world of something it often forgets, that sometimes, the smallest voices can carry the loudest truths. His story wasn't about fame or fortune. It was about love. About the power of music to break down walls. About how compassion, when shared, can ripple across oceans and change lives. Epilogue, the melody of kindness. Years later, Miguel would continue to sing, not just in competitions, but in hospitals, schools, and community centers. He sang not to become a star but to inspire, to heal, to remind people of the beauty in kindness. Whenever he sang Hotel California, people still cried. But this time, the tears were not only of sorrow, they were of hope. And every time he took the stage, barefoot or not, Miguel carried with him the lesson of that night. That music is not about perfection. It is about truth. And truth, when shared from the heart, has the power to change the world. Final message. Miguel's journey is a reminder to all of us: you don't need riches, fame, or power to touch lives. All you need is honesty, love, and the courage to share your gift. Because when we listen with our hearts, we discover that even the smallest voices can sing the loudest songs of hope.